Welcome to the Broadway.com show, filmed right here in the heart of New York City's theater district. I'm Beth Stevens.
And I'm Imogen Lloyd-Webber. Today we're checking in on the Waitress tour, get our facts straight about School of Rock, hanging out with Billy Crudup, and sipping a cocktail with Jimmy Buffett and the stars of Escape to Margaritaville.
And later we sit down with Waitress songwriter Sara Bareilles to talk music, pies, and more.
But first, let's get started with the news. What's the buzz, Beth?
Let's kick off with some loverly news. Stars have been announced for the upcoming Broadway revival of My Fair Lady. Broadway alum Lauren Ambrose, who is known for her Emmy-nominated work on 6 Feet Under, will play the role of Cockney flower girl Eliza Doolittle. British stage and screen star Henry Haddon Payton, who is best known for appearing on Downton Abbey, will make his New York stage debut in the role of Henry Higgins. Meanwhile, Tony winners Norbert Leo Butz and Diana Rigg will be featured as Alfred P. Doolittle and Mrs. Higgins, respectively. Directed by Tony winner Bartlett Sher, My Fair Lady will begin performances on March 25th and open on April 19th at Lincoln Center's Vivian Beaumont Theater. It's the first Broadway production of the musical in 25 years, which is a long time to wait for elocution lessons.
Rodeo Drive, baby. Orfeh will take on the role of Kit DeLuca, the street-smart friend of Samantha Barks' Vivian, in the Broadway-bound Pretty Woman, the musical. The production will feature a score by Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance, and a book by J.F. Lawton and the late Gary Marshall. Turns out, the beloved Tony nominee and wife of Andy Carl was a natural fit. The musical's director-choreographer Jerry Mitchell said, quote, "When Bryan and Jim played me a song they had written for the character Kit called Rodeo Drive, I immediately thought, Orfeh. I told the guys, here's the voice that will make this song fly on Broadway." Also starring Tony winner Steve Kazee, the show will play a 5-week run at Chicago's Oriental Theatre starting on March 13th, 2018, before landing on the main stem at a Nederlander venue in the fall. Cinderella.
Look at you, quoting Pretty Woman.
Memorizing Julia Roberts movies seems like a worthwhile use of my time, Beth.
Hamilton mastermind Lin-Manuel Miranda has reached out to a wide array of music friends and heroes to lend their voices to a new song which supports a cause close to his heart, hurricane relief in Puerto Rico. The single, which is called Almost Like Praying, and yes, that's a West Side Story reference, came out on October 6th. It features a long list of recording artists, including Marc Anthony, Jennifer Lopez, Gloria Estefan, Rita Moreno, and many more. Proceeds go to the Hispanic Federation's Disaster Relief Fund to support Puerto Rico. Miranda describes the track as, quote, designed for dancing and catharsis. Buy it, get your groove on, and help people in need.
Good morning, Starshine. Some of our theatre favourites will return to the age of Aquarius to celebrate Hair's 50th anniversary with a one-night benefit remount of Diane Paulus's 2009 Tony-winning revival, which started as a 2008 Shakespeare in the Park production. Jonathan Groff is revisiting the role of Claude, with Will Swenson as Berger, Casey Levy as Sheila, Bryce Reines as Woof, Casey Sheik as Jeannie, and Alison Case as Chrissy. The benefit will take place on October the 25th at Jazz at Lincoln Center's Frederick P. Rose Hall, clothes optional.
Wait, did you just say this is a clothing optional concert?
For the tribe, not for the audience. Calm down.
The most wonderful time of the year just got even better. Broadway favorite Leslie Margarita is set to star in the world premiere of Matthew Lombardo's Whose Holiday, a parody of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Queen Leslie is set to play a middle-aged Cindy Lou Who as she charts the events of the past 40 years following her fateful first meeting with Mr. Grinch. In other Christmassy news, Cheers star George Wendt will reprise his Broadway turn in Elf as Santa Claus in an upcoming holiday engagement of the hilarious musical at Madison Square Garden. Tickets to both of these shows will undoubtedly be at the top of every theater lover's holiday wish list.
Time for an off-Broadway catch-up. The planned revival of Howard Crabtree's When Pigs Fly has been cancelled due to an investment shortfall. The show had been scheduled to begin performances at Stage 42 on October the 11th. Meanwhile, Bobby Goldman and Drew Brody's Curvy Widow, which stars Nancy Opel, will end its run at the West Side Theatre on November the 5th after 16 previews and 108 performances. In happier news, the return engagement of Nia Vardalos' Tiny Beautiful Things has extended through December the 10th at the Public. Helmed by Hamilton's Thomas Kail and headlined by Vardalos herself, the stage adaptation had initially been set to conclude its run on November the 12th.
When we come back, we chat with Billy Crudup about his new solo show, chill out with Jimmy Buffett and the stars of Escape to Margaritaville, get schooled at School of Rock, and more.
It's the memory shared by millions. Cats. on Broadway.
Hi, I'm Katrina Lang.
And I'm Tony Shalhoub.
And you're watching the Broadway.com
show.
Welcome back. Waitress is already a hit Broadway musical, and now it's hitting the road as well. The national tour of Sara Bareilles' tuna about big dreams, fresh starts, and of course, pie, will kick off later this month. Before Waitress heads for the open road, we caught up with the tour stars and original creative team to talk about why the show is so successful.
Jenna, what's the special pie today?
Deep shit blueberry bacon.
Deep shit?
Dish. Deep dish. Sorry, Cal. The day starts like the rest we've seen. Another carbon copy of an old routine. Days keep coming. They keep coming.
Make that coffee strong enough to chew.
It has so much heart. Like, our show is just oozing with it. I'm just so proud of our wonderful company who's come together. This cast is working so hard. They have like 5 minutes to learn the whole show.
I feel like every person in the audience, no matter age, gender, what's going on in your life, something will hit home.
The cast of Waitress gets to do something most people just do in their cars or showers: sing Sara Bareilles songs aloud.
If you have not heard the music, you are certainly in for a real gift. Sara, I mean, for somebody who's never written for theater before, it's pretty remarkable how well it translates. And to take these songs that she wrote around the country, it's an honor.
This music is just insane. It's so real and raw and true. I love her music always, not just this score, but her entire catalog, because she's a storyteller and she talks about the human experience and she hits the nail on the head so well.
The stars of the tour are very excited to share this story with the country.
This takes place in the middle of America. This is a story about people who might not have ever even left their hometown. So I think it's even more sort of poignant to tell this story in these smaller towns or smaller cities, to take this story and to bring it there. Talk about relatable.
And there will be pie, so that's also a reason to go.
In David Cale's new off-Broadway play Harry Clarke, Tony winner Billy Crudup plays a man leading an outrageous double life. We headed to the rehearsal room to find out more from the star, playwright, and director Lee Silverman.
Well, it's a very mysterious show. It's a very sexy show. It stars Billy Crudup. And what more do you need to know, really? That's really the whole picture.
I guess in a nutshell, it's about a very timid guy from the Midwest who can do a very good English accent, and who as a child invented this character of a Cockney called Harry Clarke. And he moves, as an adult, he moves to New York and presents himself as an English person to people. And at one point, this character of Harry Clarke pops out, and he starts living as Harry Clarke and weaving his way into this wealthy family's life and wreaking sexual havoc.
This is a guy who essentially looks to seduce anyone around him. I think probably as a way of feeling like he's okay and not alone. But the way that he goes about doing it is a little bit sketchy. It's not a little bit sketchy, it's downright criminal, I'm sure, at times.
The solo show explores Harry Clarke's dangerous behavior and is billed as a sexy thriller, a description that Crudup reacts to with some alarm.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that too. Shit, I didn't know that's what it was. She had told me that before. I should have worn a different hoodie. The sexy thrillery hoodie.
I wanted to try and write a thriller with one person on stage, and it's definitely sexy. It's pretty explicit. It's very all over the place in terms of the sexuality of it, and he behaves really badly. I hope in an enjoyable way.
First of all, you could watch Billy read the phone book. And he is such a master of performance and just the way that he holds the stage, the way he plays these parts. It's a very unusual solo show, and so because of that, we needed someone who was really willing to go all the way with it, and he's the guy.
The character that he creates, Harry Clarke, there is a sexy thriller in there, but there's a guy who precedes him that is a kind of heartbreaking, lonely gem of a young man. Not young man, middle-aged. Definitely past middle-aged.
Escape to Margaritaville is coming to Broadway, but before the Jimmy Buffett musical heads our way, it is embarking on a 3-city mini-tour. We caught up with the star's director and Buffett himself at a little going-away party.
What made me want to bring my music to Broadway, somebody said, we'll take you to Broadway and put the money up. That's the honest answer. It's been 5 years getting to where we are now, and it's been interesting and fun, and I'm just happy and excited.
I think I first listened to Jimmy Buffett's music probably when I was in the womb.
One of my earliest memories as a child was dancing at a grill in the Florida Keys when I was visiting my family, dancing to a Jimmy Buffett cover band.
I am a longtime Jimmy Buffett fan, but I don't think I was a full-on parrot head until about midway through rehearsals. I feel like I have the card now. I know every note and every lyric now.
In case you're not a card-carrying member, a parrot head is what Jimmy Buffett fans call themselves. Besides his music, they love Buffett's relaxed outlook, which the show hopes to capture.
I hope that Broadway audiences just enjoy themselves and enjoy escaping from reality, because that's Jimmy Buffett's way of life, is escaping and celebrating life.
I feel like, the world is so crazy and complicated right now, and I think Jimmy Buffett's world of find joy now, don't wait, find someone to love, and enjoy yourself right this minute is a great message for this moment.
Well, I hope Broadway comes out and feels happiness and joy and has a great deal of fun.
People want to have a good time and escape, and that's what this is about, but I think it's essential to have characters that have some authenticity, some fun, some laughs, but then some moments that you can share in the heart.
Jimmy Buffett has this way of life that is accepting the good and accepting the bad, but making the best out of any circumstance. And so the atmosphere of Margaritaville is an escape, and it's a lot of fun.
School of Rock is Andrew Lloyd Webber's hit musical about pint-sized rockers sticking it to the man. But even die-hard fans might not know these 5 backstage secrets as presented by the show's golden voice, Jen Gambatese. Take a look.
So the first thing we're gonna do is come and spy on the adult men's ensemble. It sounds sort of racy, but the thing is, they have the coolest room ever. It's like a man cave. Come with me. Lo and behold, there are adult male ensemble members in their natural habitat. Here they are in their super cool dressing room. They have the Alex Brightman Memorial Wii system. He left this here for them. 3 refrigerators, including a little product placement, Red Bull. I don't drink this stuff. Sorry, Red Bull. On to the next. So the next thing I want to show you is this super secret Harry Potter door. I call it the Harry Potter door because it's sort of at the bottom of the stairs, like the little cupboard, but it's not a little cupboard. It's the stage management calling desk. And I learned today that it's called the jump. So if you come on here, watch your step, you'd come back to where they call the show, and you can see that they have a bird's eye view of backstage, which means they know if we're up to any shenanigans. They also call, I think, over 435 different cues in the show, and they keep us safe, and they do an excellent job. Here we are on stage for a super secret fun one, which is the Faculty Lounge. Great on its own, but extra great because if you look right up there at that charming lady in a feathered hat, why, that is Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber in drag, and it was his idea. All right, so this is something I actually like to do on all my personal backstage tours, which is show one of the prop tables. My favorite fake thing is the fake popcorn. Big looking bowl of popcorn, but they only sprinkle a little bit of Skinny Pop, I believe, into the center. And the reason for that is, what if it spilled on stage? It would get everywhere, down into the tracks. Terrible nightmare. So we play it safe. Fake popcorn. And it wouldn't be School of Rock without rockin' guitars. Gibson guitars, actually, because they're one of our sponsors and the best guitars there are. These guitars up here are played by the actors. This white one here is called the Explorer. and it is Zach's guitar in the show. It has its own understudy. See, that's one thing at School of Rock. The guitars have understudies. We also have a Les Paul, very famous guitarist, and this is Dewey's guitar, and it has its understudy up there on the wall. Here we have the SG, which is the bass that Katie plays. You'll notice that the understudies have handcuffs to them. These guitars are pretty expensive, and they stay right here at the Winter Garden Theater. So there you go, the guitars of School of Rock. All right, so thanks for coming to visit me at the Winter Garden Theater and learning 5 top secret things you didn't know about School of Rock. It's been a blast having you. I gotta go in and get ready for the show. We'll see you next time. Bye.
When we come back, we sit down with waitress and musical composer lyricist Sara Bareilles.
Six-time Grammy nominee, Tony nominee, and Broadway.com Audience Choice Award winner Sara Bareilles made a huge splash on the Great White Way in 2016 with her score for the musical adaptation of Waitress. She's since starred in the Broadway production, and the show has launched a national tour. Bareilles recently came by the Broadway.com studio to talk about the hit show and why audiences across America are in for a tasty musical treat. Sara, thank you so much for joining us to talk about Waitress with us today. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks. I love talking about Waitress, so.
That's good. How did the project of Waitress come to you? How did you get involved with being a part of this musical?
I got a call from my agent, and he said that there was this project in the works, and there was some interest from the director, Diane Paulus, who I didn't know at the time. I was very new to New York City, very new to the theatrical realm in general, and that she wanted to meet and have a chat about this project. It was sort of presented to me as an exploration of, would you ever want to embark on this kind of a project? And it was incredibly intimidating. And I grew up on musical theater, and I love musical theater, and that's all I listened to growing up. But the idea of returning to the stage, but as a composer, was not something I had ever really considered. So it was exciting and daunting, and I kind of said yes, not knowing what I was getting into. But it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Your director, Diane Paulus, mentioned that in talking to her that you had this incredible ability to get inside each character's head so individually and to be able to write from their perspective. What was that experience like for you, just being able to dip inside all of these lives for a little bit?
I think it was actually really cathartic and actually very life-changing for me, because I've always been someone who thought of myself as a songwriter who could really only write from my own perspective, as narcissistic as that sounds. But I didn't really think I was as capable of writing from other perspectives, and I didn't know I would enjoy it so much. And it was, I've said this before, but it actually felt like an exercise in empathy, in sort of finding yourself within someone else's story, and really finding where you're more similar than disparate, which I think was kind of exciting.
Yeah, and speaking of Diane Paulus, she is an incredible taste-making, Tony Award-winning director.
Yes.
What was it like working with her?
Diane has an ability to sort of galvanize and excite and harness big feelings and channel them into performance. And usually, knock on wood, the best ideas float to the top. So, but it's about a willingness to really turn over every stone and try it this way, and I'll try it this way, and I'll try it this way. And you throw this idea away, and if it's good, it'll come back. I think that's there's you have to have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in your collaborators in that way too. So, I'm so proud of the work that we've done together, and it continues to be a journey as we're launching our first tour, which is all brand new for me. So that's
part's very exciting.
Yeah, I can. And you also mentioned in your book that you dreamed of starring, on stage on Broadway. You got to do that. You played Jenna in the Broadway production for a while. What was that experience like for you?
It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I mean, first and foremost, these people I've been working alongside of now for years, and so to get to step on stage and to play with them was really fun, really, really beautiful. And then the immediacy of the relationship with the audience and getting to tell this incredible story. Jenna is a character that is so precious to me and has done so much for me in my life. And so getting to tell her story, was just like I'll never forget that.
Yeah, Desi Oakley is playing Jenna in the tour. How big of a fan are you of hers playing this character?
I'm a big fan. She has come in with the most open-hearted and collaborative and willing spirit. She's an incredible singer and a really beautiful actor who she's like, yes. She's a big yes, and I love that about her. She's, ingesting a lot of material very quickly. That's one thing that the touring company doesn't get the luxury of, a lifetime of rehearsals. They get like 4 weeks, now go, But she has a crazy brain where like she has almost like a photographic memory. You just show her one thing and it's like very fast. She works very, very quickly. So that's remarkable to watch.
Right.
But the spirit of our touring company is they're so sweet and so open. There's a real optimism and a positivity, and they're bringing so much good work with such good spirit, and so I think that will carry on to the road.
Right. And the show made big news prior to getting started on Broadway because it was the first all-female-led creative team for a Broadway musical. What was it like working in that environment, and can you discuss everyone's passion that was involved in that creative team for the project?
Yeah, I think the work of making a new musical is really hard, and I didn't know what that was going to feel like. So it was really important that we had great communication and that we had, again, this sort of willingness not to be precious about the material. We had to explore a lot of different versions of everything, and you're sort of trying to find the answer, but there's no playbook to go to, so you're on this constant exploration with each other. But we had a lot of laughs, we had some tears, we had everything in between. But I think to your point, there was such an investment, a deep kind of willingness and a passion for the project. I think everybody felt very committed to telling Adrienne Shelley's story, who wrote the film, and the fact that she's no longer with us. We felt very sort of reverent about the material and wanting to make sure we were really staying true to the spirit of the piece and the way it was written.
And it's not rare for a Broadway show to come along, and a lot of people love it for a lot of different reasons, but this one is one that people feel so emotionally attached to. They don't forget about these characters, they want to bring family and friends to see it. What about this show and your music and just how the whole thing was put together do you think ignites that such just guttural attachment to this?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's such a compliment when people want to come see the show again or come bring a loved one to see the show. My hope is that it's because of the relatability of the material. These are not perfect characters. These are complicated, problematic situations where people are making mistakes and they're doing the best they can. I can't think of another Broadway show, at least, where there's a central female character who's dealing with a pregnancy that she doesn't want. Like who's openly talking about how much she doesn't want her own baby. I mean, it's very progressive, and she's cheating on her husband, and so is the doctor, and we've got sort of our eccentric OCD side characters who have so much sweetness and so much heart, and there's a lot of adultery. I'm really feeling that pretty much everyone's cheating on everyone in this one, but it's it's not heroes and villains. It's just people. So I hope that people recognize themselves somewhere. I hope we make them laugh. I think people come away from this show not realizing that they were going to laugh as much as they did.
Yeah.
And then, as always with my music, my hope is to just be a reflection, that someone recognizes themselves again.
Right.
You know, to speak to what is vulnerable about being alive, what is hard, what are the challenges we're facing and trying to get to the other side of, and yeah.
Right. It's so cool when a show is popular enough and a big enough of a hit to where it does get a national touring production like yours does now. What are your expectations? What are your hopes for this tour and for audiences across America as this show stops everywhere?
First of all, I hope that we continue to just kind of touch that heart center in people. I really love that when people come to see the show, they leave with having had an emotional experience. You know, a night at the theater, enjoying being out, and incredible talent, yes, but also that they have gone on some sort of journey themselves. So that's my hope for people across America.
And if you could take this whole experience you've had with Waitress and bake it into a beautiful pie, what would that pie be?
Man, changed my life pie. This is an experience that I did not realize was going to completely reorient me, and it really has in the most beautiful way. I'm so grateful.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's such a great honor to talk to you about this show. So,
thank you so much.
Of course, make sure you go check out the national touring production of Waitress coming to a city near you.
Coming up, Broadway's Aaron Tveit knocks it out of the park.
It's the memory shared by millions. Cats on Broadway.
Hi, I'm Mary Testa. You're watching thebroadway.com show.
Thank you for watching the Broadway.com show.
We leave you with Broadway favourite Aaron Tveit singing the national anthem at Yankee Stadium before the wildcard game. We assure you his rendition is a grand slam.
See you next week.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proud